Hi, it's Katrina! From legendary flying monsters to giant big cats, here are 8 extinct animals that you'll be extremely glad aren't around today. Number 8. The Titanoboa. You may not have heard of Cerrejon, Colombia, but if you are interested in fossils, this is the place to be. It has some of the world's richest, most important fossil deposits. It might just be the only window into an ancient tropical ecosystem. According to the Smithsonian, after the fall of the dinosaurs 58 million years ago, Cerrejon was a dense, swampy jungle with about 150 inches of rain per year. This is just perfect if you are a giant snake that measures between 48 and 50 feet long and weighs more than 1 ton. The Titanoboa was the biggest snake to have ever lived. Paleontologists are working closely with the coal mining company there to extract fossils at the same time as they are removing coal, and they were lucky enough to find an entire skull. In the world today, the biggest snake species have been known to grow to about 30+ feet in length, which is massive, no doubt, but even at their biggest, they don't stack up to the Titanoboa. But it's not just the length that's impressive and scary. The sheer weight and size could easily crush its prey. It ate all kinds of things from crocodiles to huge turtles and fish. The Titanoboa could swallow just about anything without much issue, and yes, that includes humans. There's also the fact that the Titanoboa could have potentially lived in other areas of the world, and it would probably do really well in Florida and Hawaii. This species could probably easily destroy ecosystems and eat just about everything if it were still around. The Smithsonian Channel did a great TV show called The Titanoboa Monster Snake, if you would like to learn more. Number 7. Pterodactyls. One of the most famous flying creatures of the ancient world were the pterodactyls, but they often get confused with pterosaurs. Yet ironically, despite popular belief, they weren't actually dinosaurs. They just happened to live in similar time periods. So of course, they had to be included in Jurassic Park films. Granted, they weren't as big as in those films. They were actually the size of big birds like eagles, but they were still a threat, no doubt. Most of the fossils have been found in Germany, although more recently some have also been found in other places in Europe and Africa. It most likely hunted fish and other small animals. Their wings were formed by a membrane, almost like a bat. So what would it be like if they were around now? There would probably be a lot of them, and there would be huge flocks everywhere. Scientists have wondered how we humans would use these animals. Would we have them as pets? Would we farm them for meat or eggs? Funnily enough, several scientists even took this idea further, asking, could we ride one to work? In theory, it could take off with the weight of a person on its back. It's hard to say, would we be prey or would we be friends? It's also important to note that pterodactyls were both carnivores and scavengers, so they weren't opposed to getting prey however they could, like vultures. And maybe they wouldn't feed on humans, but they could feed on other animals like our pets or other birds and destroy all species. Another big factor is that there were versions of the pterodactyl family that were much bigger than the regular pterodactyl. In fact, some were said to be so big that they could rival the size of fighter jets. If this is true, they would cause an even bigger danger to everyone in their flight range. Skies better watch out. Number 6. Megalania. In the Australia during the Ice Age, there was an apex predator so feared that it became a part of the legends of the land. The Megalania was a monitor lizard, estimated to be about 23 feet long, even bigger than a crocodile. Although more recent research argues that it was smaller, but we'll go with the more dramatic number. What's more, it was said to have a mouthful of teeth that were extremely sharp, and its bite was extremely venomous. Venom isn't something that a lot of lizards have, so to have a 23-foot-long venomous monitor lizard around is not a pretty picture, especially when you might be its next meal. Megalania means ancient great roamer because it moved all over present-day Australia and would hunt just about anything. The earliest fossil remains date back to around 50,000 years ago, which means that the first Aboriginal settlers of Australia encountered them and greatly respected their power. They wove stories of the Megalania into their folklore and told tales of it for generations to come. It is the largest terrestrial lizard known to have existed, and even up until the late 60s, there were reports of cows ripped to shreds with chunks missing and giant lizard footprints all around. Against all odds, could this giant lizard still be among us living in the jungles of Australia? Interestingly enough, The Komodo dragon was only officially documented by the scientific community in 1910 by a lieutenant who went to Komodo Island after hearing stories about giant lizards. So maybe there still could be other venomous lizards out there undiscovered. Number 5. The Utahraptor. The name Velociraptor is synonymous with the Jurassic Park films, as they were one of the main villains in virtually every movie. But the fact of the matter is, they were about the size of chickens and might have even had feathers in real life. However, there were raptors that were big and dangerous and could easily raise havoc in the world if they were still alive today. For example, the Utahraptor. This is the largest raptor ever discovered. Based on bones of the Utahraptor, scientists estimate it at being 18 to 20 feet long and weighing 1,500 pounds. That is a truly massive raptor that people would not want to have running around. Just the claws on the Utahraptor were about 1 foot long, and ironically, the movies did accurately portray the claws as curved, which allowed the raptors to rip, impale, and otherwise eviscerate anything that they considered prey. There's been some debate as to whether these raptors were feathered creatures or smooth-skinned like the movies have shown them, but the bones of the Utahraptor seem to indicate that they did have feathers in some places on their bodies, but it's not very clear where or how much. The question is, what would it be like if they were still around? Well, while there is debate about whether the Utahraptor hunted in packs, if it did, we'd be in trouble. They could swarm around all of the farms and eat livestock, and maybe even attack towns if they were brave enough without fear of missing out on something good to eat. Don't forget, they were 20 feet long, and even if one walked into a building, people would definitely panic. However, like all animals on this list, there is always the question of our relationship with them. Would we control their populations or hunt them into extinction? Our human track record makes us very powerful and very destructive creatures. No matter how scary or dangerous an animal might seem, it should be more afraid of us than we are of them. Number 4. The short-faced bear. This bear was one of the fiercest predators to inhabit North America. It lived about 1 to 2 million years ago and is estimated to have gone extinct about 11,000 years ago. This wasn't just a bear, it was a gigantic bear. When standing on all 4 feet, it was about as tall as a human, about 6 feet tall. It stood over 13 feet tall when on its back legs, which is 3 feet taller than the biggest bears today. But their height wasn't the only advantage they had a lot of girth too. Modern bears can weigh at most around 800 pounds, which is not too shabby, but the short-faced bear weighed around 2,000 pounds. As if that wasn't bad enough, the short-faced bears were always hungry to an extent, and it had the ability to chase down and rip apart bison, buffalo, and more. It could run too, and fast. As anyone who has seen any kind of bear documentary will know, they aren't something to mess with, and taking them down is very hard. And that's with a regular bear. The short-faced bears were infamous for their aggressive tendencies, so their very nature would make them major threats to all humans, as well as livestock and any other animals it would get its eyes on. Due to its large size, there would probably be very few hikers, especially in California, where it is believed to have been very common. Wouldn't want to run into that. Number 3. The Tyrannosaurus Rex. The Tyrannosaurus Rex is no doubt one of the most popular and legendary dinosaurs ever discovered. And while the T-Rex may not have been the largest dinosaur around, it was still a terror, and there's a reason many movies and TV shows have made sure to include the T-Rex when they go back to that time period. Bones found of the Tyrannosaurus Rex estimated to have been about 20 feet long, and its height was about the same too, which would definitely be a threat to most people and ecosystems. In terms of weight, there's a bit of a discrepancy. The best guess is between 13,000 to 32,000 pounds. There's just no way of knowing for sure what the truth is yet because all we have are the bones. If the T-Rex were still around, well, its size would certainly hurt, and because of the toughness of its skin, there's no doubt it could plow through buildings and be very difficult to take down. Just its skull was said to be as hard as titanium, and when it picks up momentum, it could go up to 25 miles per hour. These guys would probably not be afraid of anything. Forget giant lizards, just imagine having giant dinosaurs running around. While this might sound silly, based on scientific advances in DNA, we might be closer to a real Jurassic world than you think. What do you think would happen if the T-Rex were around? Let me know in the comments below. Number 2. Saber-Tooth Cats. In our world today, we have cheetahs, lions, tigers, panthers, and other big cats, but not a single one of them compared to the Ice Age wonder that was the saber-toothed tiger. The saber-tooth cats were fierce, mighty, fast, and had a killer instinct that every creature in the world feared. Its iconic fangs were nearly a foot long, and it would impale all victims with them to ensure that the kill was complete. But don't discount how powerful the rest of their body was. They were so fast that they could catch nearly any prey, and with their strong hind legs, they could pounce on their opponents and use their strength and body weight to ensure that they didn't get away. Just like modern-day wildcats, they would go straight for the throat. They would eat elephants, rhinos, and all kinds of giant herbivores. Saber-tooth cats first arose in North America, and some more recent fossils have been found in Brazil and giant footprints in Argentina. These cats can be found worldwide, and there are about 20 different species of them. Scientists are also debating on whether to bring back these big cats. Do you think that they should? What do you think would happen if we had these big cats running around? Our pets should probably watch out too. Number 1. The Megalodon. Of course I have to include the Megalodon. I know it's been on all of our minds lately since Discovery Shark Week and the new movie The Meg. If the Megalodon were still alive today, the world would be in trouble. This massive shark was one of the biggest terrors the oceans of the world have ever known. It was the apex predator of the ancient waters, and for good reason. The main reason was its size. Depending on who you talk to, it could have been anywhere between 50 to 90 feet long, making it at least double what a great white shark would be. Plus, they had a very high metabolism and were always hungry. It's believed that it had to eat between 1 to 2 tons of food a day just to survive. The Megalodon wasn't just a fierce predator, it was an aggressive one. It would interfere with all kinds of ocean transport and traffic, and it could hurt the fishing industry. The fishing industry has done immeasurable damage to the oceans already, so you might not feel so bad about that. Bones of the Megalodon have been found very close to the surface, as well as in deep waters. Plus, it's unclear where in the oceans they would be, as they were used to warmer waters in the prehistoric world. But if they adapted, they could live in virtually any ocean. Any and all ships would be in danger of attack from a Megalodon, and there's no doubt that the shark could take them all out without breaking a sweat. Could humans live today with Megalodons? We humans are extremely clever predators, so even if it were around today, the poor shark probably wouldn't stand a chance. Thanks for watching! Remember to subscribe before you leave, and I'll see you next time. Bye!